Connect Forth, the radio forum for students.
Hello and welcome to the Connect Forth radio show. My name's Daniel Hall and I'm a student studying at the Forth Valley College here at the Stirling campus.
And my name's Jelly Ballantyne and I also study at Forth Valley College in Stirling.
On today's show we're going to be showcasing a selection of work produced by our very own, very talented classmates here at the Connect Forth.
I went to Falkirk to interview a very generous individual helping with refugees.
David Kinniard, host of the Stirling Ghost Walk, gave us a beautiful insight into the spooky surroundings of Stirling.
But first, let's get to the Stirling Smith Museum and Art Gallery, where we'll be learning all about Stirling's amazing history.
Connect Forth, the radio forum for students.
We are here at the Stirling Smith Museum and Art Gallery. Today our team, Hannah Bingham, Samantha Duncan and myself, Jack Haggerty, will be exploring the exhibition within the museum and also talking to staff to gain an insight into what the museum means to them. We first spoke to the director of the museum, Elspeth King.
The museum was founded 141 years ago thanks to the bequest of Thomas Stuart Smith, an artist who worked mainly in Italy and the south of France, but he was from this area. It represents a chance for the people of Stirling to get in touch with their own roots and find out who they are and what they are and where they came from, and what makes them like what they are today. And it's a joy to see people discovering their own history and the history of Stirling in this place.
One of the staff at the Stirling Smith, John Veach, has volunteered to guide us on a tour around the museum. Thank you very much, John. Whenever you're ready.
This is the Stirling Smith Art Gallery and Museum, to give it its full title. Smith Museum, Smith Gallery, most of those names will lead you here. Originally it was called the Smith Institute. He changed that just to make it clearer what the building actually was. It served a few other purposes over the years. It was taken over by the army for barracks during both world wars. It was designed by a Scottish architect named John Lascelles, based on the specifications left by Thomas Smith, the artist, in his will, which said he wanted it built in plain Italian style to house his own artwork and the art which he had collected over the years. So if you just come on in.
We interviewed staff from the museum. We started with Elspeth King. Elspeth, thank you for having us. Now, would you be able to tell us how you got the job here at the Stirling Smith?
I trained as a museum curator. I was one of the first professional curators to train a very long time ago. Then you could only do a postgraduate at the University of Leicester, so I chose to do that and sought jobs in Scottish museums, which were rare at the time. So for 18 years I worked at the People's Palace in Glasgow. Then I set up Abbott House for the Dunfermline Heritage Trust. And 21 years ago I came here to run the Stirling Smith.
Next, we sat down with Lindsay Mackay.
So I'm a museum assistant and basically just help visitors in the museum, look after the front desk, welcome visitors, answer telephone calls. I do a bit of admin and things as well for them.
We managed to get answers from our tour guide, John Veach, too.
I'm the usual evening guy, which the museum is often hired out to local groups. These can be local history groups or stamp collectors, wine tasting, embroiderers, advanced motorists, all sorts of local groups. They come and meet here in the museum in the evenings and so on.
Michael McGuinness, the collections manager, was next.
I am responsible for all the collections, the cataloguing, the care. We share other functions with the director, and conservation and interpretation, things like that. I put all the exhibitions up, I take all the exhibitions down, I look after the building. I've been here so long that I know where all the electric wiring goes, so it's kind of, I do everything, because there's only two of us here, so we have to all do everything.
Our next question, what is your favourite piece in the museum?
I like the Doll's House and the kind of World War II area, but that was kind of what I studied at uni, so.
It's a replica of an ideal home from around 1939. The sort of place that people would dream of living in who came to have a look at it. There was actually more to this which had been lost. There was a tennis court and croquet ground. There's hints of that with the croquet mallets and tennis rackets. This was made by local people, primarily a woman named Mrs. Grace Gavin. It was taken around the British Isles. People would pay money to come and see it, and that money would go to the Red Cross, and they would use it to assemble care packages to send abroad to prisoners of war.
The smallest piece is a little jade medallion, which is just a piece of green stone, which is from New Zealand. It's Maori. It's sacred, and it's just a piece of green stone with a hole in it for putting on your neck. And you think there's not much to it, but I can tell you exactly when the Maori warrior lost it, to the square inch where he lost it, the date he lost it, what he was doing at the time he lost it, and I can probably name the family that lost it, because the British soldier who picked it up recorded all the facts about it as far as he could remember, and that was passed down. So we actually have got a connection to one family group in New Zealand from one tiny little piece of stone.
I like the X-ray machine, which was used in shoe shops, because a lot of our older visitors recognise that, a lot of our younger visitors are amazed that people actually did that. So it brings a lot of interesting reactions from people. So I think those are my favourite things at the museum. But ask me on another day, I might take your shine to something else. It really depends on the responses they get from people.
There's also another piece in the collection, but it's not in public show, which I would love to have in show, but I'm not allowed to. And it's a human head that's been decapitated, and it's been covered in clay by the native islanders and painted, and I think it's really cool, but they won't be on display.
A museum is a museum, so why is the Stirling Smith different, and why should people visit it?
If you want to learn about Scotland's history, you really need to come to Stirling and come to a place like this, which tells you about Stirling's role in Scotland's history, because it was such a major one.
It's obviously really important to the history of Stirling and community as well, actually, because there's just so much going on here. So it's really good to keep the place going, because there's so many different groups and things that meet here, and community spirit, I think. It's
trying to put people back in touch with reality, because we as a species keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. We keep doing the same things continuously, and it's trying to put that in front of people, and that's what's so important about museums. And also in this modern age where people are not in touch with reality, they're in touch with their phones and their whatever this tablets and this thing that's called modern living, but in actual fact it's all fabrication. It's not real, and it's good to get people to be able to touch base again with real objects and real things in real people's lives, and just to show them it doesn't matter where in the world you come from, you're all exactly the same species, and what you do in Nyasaland or Australia or somewhere in the Pacific, you do exactly the same over here. It makes no difference.
We finish by letting John highlight some of the key pieces within the gallery. This includes a certain football and a piece by our very own Robbie Burns.
Now here, this is perhaps the pride of our collection. This is the world's oldest football, at least until somebody finds an older one. This one dates back to the 1540s or so. We know this because it was found in the 1970s in the rafters of the royal apartments at Stirling Castle. The air inside it is not original. It was reinflated after it was found. It had gone down and people weren't really sure what it was at first. The inside of it is a pig's bladder, so I don't envy the person who blew it up again. I'm hoping that he or she used a bike pump. Robert Burns here, he came to Stirling. He wasn't happy with the state Stirling Castle had fallen into, and he wrote on the walls of the inn where he stayed, Wingate's Inn it was called, it's now called the Golden Lion, he wrote on the window, "Here Stuarts once in triumph reigned, and laws for Scotland's weal ordained. But now unroofed their palace stands, their sceptres fallen to other hands, fallen indeed, and to the earth, whence grovelling reptiles take their birth. The injured Stuart lion are gone, a race outlandish fills their throne, an idiot race to honour lost, who knows them best, despise them most.
Connect Forth, the radio forum for students.
It's me and the man's anniversary tomorrow, and I'd like to look good for him, but the salons are just so expensive.
I hear you, Sandra, and it's not as if there's any salons near us.
Ladies, Forth Valley College has modern, fully equipped hair and beauty salons in our Alloa, Falkirk and Raploch campuses. The salons are open to the public and offer a wide range of hair, beauty and nail treatments at wonderfully low prices. For more information, contact 01786 272 315. That's the contact number. Now, if you'll excuse me, ladies, I've got a wee facial to attend.
FVC really is the place to be. Beautified.
When you enrolled as a student at Forth Valley College, you automatically became a member of the Student Association. This year the SA offers a representation for the student body, ensuring that your voice is heard. And they will offer advice on different issues and situations such as academic or welfare. Also, as a member you can gain access to the online student blog Fusion, and it also means that more support is made ready available to you throughout the year. So why not get involved with the Student Association and email us at student.association@forthvalley.ac.uk or phone us on 01324 403 290 or follow them on Facebook. Forth Valley Student Association, letting the student voice be heard.
So then, Julie, who was this local hero in Falkirk you went to interview?
Well, basically, we set out to find someone who is taking matters into their own hands after seeing the horrifying images of the refugee crisis, which are currently everywhere in the media. It was then that we came across an organisation in Falkirk who were truly going out of their way to make a difference.
Connect Forth, the radio forum for students.
Reported as the largest immigration epidemic since the Second World War, the European refugee crisis is one very much at the forefront of today's media landscape. But in these times of tribulation, just who is willing to reach out to those who are most vulnerable? While searching for residents who were making a difference, we came across an appeal called Coats for Calais, which was set up to get donations sent to the refugee camps in the northern part of France. At the forefront of this was DD Drums in Falkirk, who had given the appeal full usage of their warehouse to house donations from the general public.
I'm David Dowell from DD Drums in Falkirk. We're a drum shop and tuition practice, and we do all things drums, teaching quite a lot on the local level and retailing to all parts of the UK from Falkirk.
Could you explain to us a bit about Coats for Calais and what it is?
Coats for Calais was started by a lady called Kelly, right round about the start of the terrible images that were appearing, and within the same week Kelly had decided to set up Coats for Calais. We contacted her and we could secure any goods that we collected here further on to her. And Kelly had also sorted out a distribution via Sawdust Wood Fuels in Perth, who were going to package the bigger boxes to get them initially to Calais, so we felt it was a good cause.
What were your motivations for getting involved in the project?
I'd been a bit upset with everything that had been going on that week, though not hugely political. I'm a dad, and I could see what was happening to dads and kids and the devastation that must have been, that everybody's seen. So it was just feeling in a position of feeling very frustrated with it, being able to contribute any help. So it was my wife and I who spoke about it, and she had found Coats for Calais and thought it could be a good way that we could assist. So we contacted them just to say, look, we can help what you're doing.
How did you get the donations to your warehouse?
People were driving them here. It was quite nice. September, we had shorts on, and it was just drums and charity drop-offs and coffee, and then more drums, and then more charity drop-offs. So it was good. We had a friend, Gavin, had went out and collected for people who weren't able to make it down. And there was various other churches, chapels, community centres. They collected bigger drops and they used our storage. We had to empty it about 4 times during the which was actually 6 weeks, we had an extra month on our empty unit, and that's what I thought, we've got the facility to store, so we would use that month. But yeah, it was really overwhelming.
Would you say that people in the local community were willing to help you?
We had a few volunteers decided offered time to categorise it. One of the Coats for Callie's stipulation, because the aid was purely for Callie, was mostly men and bedding and toiletries and foods, and we had made a point of saying that we would accept everything. Although I didn't have a route for women and kids aid to go, we all knew that there was a lot of women and kids aid would be needed, so we took that on ourselves to find another route for that. So it was important we had the men's stuff sorted out for Coats for Callie.
What did you find were the most common donations?
Quite a lot of people went and just bought shopping and loads of toiletries, but for what I'd considered would be enough space for it with my customers and students, etc., and my own friends, we were just so wrong. I think this was echoed further down the chain, because towards the end, some of the people that were receiving the aid were having difficulty shipping it on, and we inevitably, towards the end, we had to start saying, look, we can't take any more. Coats for Callie were keeping updated with what, like, news from Callie in particular, what was most needed, so we were reacting to those. We were sharing that out within our social media networks, and quite a lot of the subsequent donations that came in afterwards reflected that.
What were you doing with the donations that weren't able to get sent to Callie?
And Stuart, that works at DD Drums, found an alternative route for the women and kids aid to go to a company in Glasgow called Glasgow the Caring City, and we had a customer convoy set up to take vans, cars, estate cars, just loads of aid through to them, and that was as much as we could do to get the goods to them.
What would you say is your personal stance on refugees?
They're people. They're people like everybody else's. We've all got people that we care about and that we should be caring about, and they usually feature in our day or our week, but at the end of the day, these are people that are affected by something that's nothing at all to do with them, but it doesn't stop them from being sons and daughters and mums and dads and friends, and just they need to be safe. So there's a lot more for other people to do, and although it's just a gesture of kindness or sympathy or empathy, in your own wee bit, that's all you can do.
Connect Forth.
With people like David being involved in local projects like Coats for Callie, it's no surprise that often these appeals are overwhelmed with support. Coats for Callie was a success in everyone in the local area's eyes due to the huge scale of donations received. These small acts of kindness, such as donating old clothes or buying some toiletries and food essentials, will have helped hundreds, if not thousands, of refugees to prepare to build a new life for themselves.
Connect Forth, the radio forum for students.
Last year, refugees made up just 117,000, or 0.24% of the population, with most refugees having escaped from their war-torn homelands, such as Pakistan and Syria. To put that into perspective, there is currently 281,000 people residing in the Forth Valley area alone, with well over 1 million living in Glasgow and Edinburgh combined. So with such a small percentage of the population being refugees, why is there such stigma surrounding those seeking refuge in the UK? We spoke to student Christopher Stewart to see what his opinion was on the issue.
I think that presuming they are, I know we can't really tell, but presuming they are from a war-torn country, then I think it's very important that we bring them in and give them a place to stay and stuff, because it's just I can imagine me being in a situation where I was in a war-torn country and I wouldn't be able to move out, if you know what I mean. So I think it's very important that we bring them in.
Thank you to David Dowell and Christopher Stewart for your views on the issue. Find Connect Forth on Facebook, and why not tell us your opinion on the ongoing refugee crisis?
Connect Forth, the radio forum for students.
FVC, the place to be to enjoy a deliciously different dining experience. The Gallery restaurant, based in Forth Valley College's Stirling campus, is a truly unique venue with a definite wow factor. It combines the art of fine dining with spectacular views of famous Stirling landmarks, including the River Forth, the Ochil Hills and the Wallace Monument. Sit back, relax and enjoy the breathtaking scenery at the Gallery restaurant, while the award-winning team provide you with first-class contemporary cuisine and hospitality. Each weekday, the Gallery serves appetising breakfast between 10 and 11:15am and is open for lunch between 12 and 2pm, offering a flavoursome and varied set menu. On Tuesday and Thursday evenings, it is open between 5 and 7pm, serving deliciously decadent dinners, and is also available for hire and private dining. To book or find out more, call 01786 406 027 or visit theplace.forthvalley.ac.uk. Reviews of the Gallery can now also be found on TripAdvisor. The Gallery at FVC, the place to be.
Whether you want to travel across an ancient land, do battle with evil wizards, or traverse the seven seas, a book can take you there. And here at Waterstones, we have a book for every mood. But that's not all. Bring in your student ID and sign up for the Waterstones student card and start earning points towards your next purchase. You collect 10 points for every £1, and every point is worth a penny, so you'll be earning back 10% with every purchase. So come and visit us in the Thistle Centre or on Falkirk High Street and pick up your next adventure.
Our final show here is called The Walkers. It's a show about the local ghost walk right here in Stirling. Have you been on it, Jilly?
No, I haven't actually. Have you?
I've not, and usually I'm not a fan of ghost walks or things like that, but I've been told great things about this, so I'm really looking forward to hearing it.
Connect Forth, the radio forum for students.
Right, scum! It's 8 o'clock, I've got your money, I don't have to be nice to you anymore.
Stirling is one of Scotland's most historical cities, from Stirling Castle to the Wallace Monument and the Old Town Jail. The city is truly a window back into the past for tourists and locals alike. However, by night the town is haunted by its past as people explore the most densely populated supernatural square mile in all of Scotland on the Stirling Ghost Walk. Led by none other than David Kinnaird as the Happy Hangman, who has been leading those brave few through the city's haunted past for many years.
Well, my name's David Kinnaird. I'm a local actor, writer and historian. For the last 26 years I've been writing books on local history, doing guided walks, lecturing occasionally on folklore, and of an evening putting on whiteface and a tricorn hat, and writing and leading the Stirling Ghost Walk around the old town of Stirling.
The Ghost Walk began just outside the Old Town Jail, where participants are greeted by the Happy Hangman.
Good evening. Let's try that again, just for the jolly old fun of it. Good evening, you worthless, cloth-eared, carnaptious mortal gouts. This, on the other hand, probably will. So unless you want your shiny wee heed noggin ventilated, can I strongly suggest, my friend, you adhere to the time-honoured Caledonian adage, always cooperate with a grumpy fat man. I'm fascinated by stories, all forms of stories, and Stirling is a great place for tales. The intersection between history and folklore here is like nowhere else in the world. The infinite variety of particular tales that you can turn to comedy, drama, melodrama, and involve and engage the public with that storytelling. As you probably noticed already, you've got no shortage of ghost stories in this town. We have the spectral tales of kings, cutpurses and commoners, scushing out their ectoplasmic ears left, right and centre. One thing we are sorely short of, and don't I know it, Bernard, as a single spook on a Friday night, is female phantoms. I'm still finding new stories. In 1902, the Society for Psychical Research decided that Stirling was the most densely populated supernatural conurbation in Britain. And although I'm not a believer or a disbeliever in these phenomena, That means from a storyteller's perspective, there is no shortage of material. Even after 26 years, I'm still finding new stories or new twists to old stories.
After an unusual greeting and a few tales, we headed towards the pitch-black graveyard.
Others link the Pink Lady's legend to rather more recent events, and to this stone here in particular. It's a pretty thing, but misleading. And there's a date upon it. You may be able to read it here. 1823, it says. Well, that's not right. Any damn fool can tell you the stone itself is of a style at least a century older than that, perhaps much longer. At the start of that year, this was already a long-forgotten thing, toppled over, neglected, overgrown in a secluded nook of the graveyard just yonder. Its original owner long since forgotten, his name lost in the mists of memory. But in the last dismal days of that year, this stone was raised up, cleaned, recarved, and placed where it now stands in honour of a local lady named Mary Witherspoon. My favourite character is the chap who I'm currently dressed in the livery of just now, Jock Rankin, the Happy Hangman. According to most history books, he's the last executioner in Stirling. Actually, he wasn't. He was the third from last. But the local legend is that he choked to death on a chicken bone. If that sounds like too much poetic irony for a hangman, it's because it's nonsense. His ghost story was developed by 19th century parents to stop their children venturing into the little passageway that used to be his home. In July and August, we run the show 5 nights a week, and then that's the peak of the tourist season in Stirling, and has been for 2 decades or more. And at that time of year, it's Germans, Polish, Chinese, a few locals. The rest of the year, for the remaining 10 months, is mostly a domestic market. And I'm glad to say we still get as many local people coming on the tour as we do overseas. It's a way for people to engage in an accessible way with their own history, their own culture.
The walk comes to a close as the hangman gathers everyone under a large tree.
As you go from this place to the warmth of your homes, your beds, the pub, where matters of the spirit and the supernatural are concerned, I bid of you, my friends, do but 3 things for the Happy Hangman. Keep an open mind, a light heart, and most importantly of all, never ever let a little thing like the truth get in the way of a good story. Good night, and pleasant dreams.
Thanks for listening to the Connect Forth radio podcast. We hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Dan, where can our listeners keep up to date with what's going on?
Well, we've got a Facebook page, Jilly. Just go on Facebook, search Connect Forth, and then you'll find the page instantly. You'll be updated with everything we're doing. So, like Jilly said, we hope you enjoyed the show and have a great day.
Connect Forth, the radio forum for students.